Hi friends, welcome to my channel Go Cool and Be Cool ISO 14001 Lead Auditor Training Program Examination Tips and Tricks. We are going to see the last and final examination videos part 12. Final examination question and answer, how to answer the question, especially for the 2 marks, 4 marks, 5 marks, 10 marks, 15 marks, especially for this video only for the examination 90 marks how to get scored. Okay, so please prepare yourself before going for the lead auditor exam. Welcome back. ISO 14001 Lead Auditor Training Program Examination Tips and Tricks. So we have seen that a lot of videos like part 1 to part 11. Okay, a lot of videos like what is meant by ISO 14001 basic course joining, and then top 20 MNCs and the NC, and then major industries as what all the NCs we have, and then we have lot of tips for these 400 examinations questions and answer. Okay, my dear friends, please understand top 10 tricks also you have seen before these videos. Okay, part 11. If you are new to my channel, welcome to my channel. I hope like all videos we have seen that before entering to this final examination questions. Okay, please understand my dear friends, once you go through all those videos, then you will be really helpful for you to capture, you can able to fresh up your knowledge in this, and then you can write the examinations beautifully. Okay, 90 marks we are going to see how the examination scenario is going to happen, and then what is the exam question they ask, and what is I have written, and then how I have cleared the examination, and then we can move ahead for this. Okay, so we can write alternative exam also, we can write lot of examination tips and tricks for this auditor, and then your trainer mindsets and everything. Are you ready? Okay, we will see this one by one question. Okay, 90 marks we are going to see that. First question, explain about environmental impact. Generally they will ask for this question and all. So 2 marks question, so you need not to spend much time. Okay, so environmental impact is a change to the environment, whether adverse or beneficial, so wholly partially resulting from an organization environmental aspect. So like that also we can write it, or simply we can finish it like environmental impact refers to any change to the environment, positive, negative, resulting from an organization activities, products and service. So generally key points for 2 marks, generally we can say that caused by aspect like linked to environmental aspect, example emission waste, example air pollution from EO emission, water contaminations from chemical spills. ISO 14001 relevance assesses in class number 6.1.2 to determine significance and then control. Exam templates, how the things we can write it out. See, environmental impact is the effect. Example, pollution, resource depletions is caused by an organization aspects. Example, EO emission. ISO 14001 records evaluating impacts as to prioritize EMS control. Class number 6.1.2. So bonus memory, generally what we can say like AIC. In 14001 EMS, especially environmental management system, you have to remember AIC. A means aspect, what is the causes, and then what is the impact controlled by EMS. So this is how you need to memorize. See, I have given lot of options also, my dear friend. This also you can write it. So you can take some points also, because only you are typing the examination, that's all, very simple. So make sure that you are typing very faster, you want to complete the examination. Okay, point number 2. See, first is completed. Point number 2, identify classes that require documented information. How the things will be there for the documented information. So 4.3, 5.2, 6.1.1, 6.1.2, lot of things we can write here. Also, we can write here for the keynotes for the auditor examination, maintain versus retain. So these are all the tricky words also we can write. What is maintain? Live documents as example, procedure, and then manual. So we have to retain means records. So what is the difference between records and then documents? So document is like what is demanded for the actual. Record means what is actually it is available. Okay, so document is what is to be done. So what is supposed to take a record for the document and everything. Record is what is already done. So that is the record. Okay, please understand very clearly. Now flexibility talks about organizational desired formats, paper, digitals and everything. That one is common gaps. So we have the missing legal registers as undated records as or controlled documents as we have. Example for 10 mark question, list 5 plus classes with the examination. Example 6.1.3 require a compliant register. Okay, so need to memorize docs 14,001. See, I have given you a lot of acronyms for example, for writing the examination. 9,001 also I have given the same, 20,001 also I have given the same, 14,001 is also very nice. So there is a docs. What it talks about docs. Docs is data 9.1.1. we need to have it. Objective is 6.2.1. See, these are all the classes. Generally you can take it up a printout, or just you can write it in on notes. So then it will be really helpful to capture, during the examination only 120 minutes we have. So we need not to think about it. We need not to roll the paper to get the point exactly. Compliance is 6.1.3, significant expert is 6.1.2, EMS core generally what happened 4.4 and the 9.3 EMS score. So dogs 14,001. Okay, so this is the memorize mnemonic. You can take it up for the your examination. That will be really helpful for you. So this is how we can able to write it out. So each and everything is, for example, 2 marks in the sense you can write it very simply. 3 to 4 lines is more than enough. 5 marks, at least spend some time, like getting the 5 marks is auditor trainer will demand, like these are all the points I need to have, then only I can able to offer you 5 marks. That is very difficult also. Okay, please write it down. Okay, document information, at least one class 6.1.1, then 7 class, 8 class, 9 class, 10 class. So all classes you can touch up. Don't writing 6.1.1, 6.1.2, 6. I have written everything, but the thing is that getting the marks, for example, if you don't, because the same question was asked in 5 marks. Okay, if it is 2 marks means writing only 5 examples is more than enough. So this is also more than enough. That is also more than enough, I think so. Okay, now moving to the next one. What is to identify classes that require process, first of all. So here is very simply I have written 6.1.1 general actions to address risk and opportunity use, 1.4.1 general communication, 8.1, 8.2, 9.1.1 and the 9.1.2, 9.3 is management review. So evaluation, performance evaluation. So what is to be done? So this also we can write for the simply 2 marks question, 5 marks question. 5 marks question you have to elaborate, you have to maintain the same, because within this no one will offer you 5 marks, my dear friends. Please understand. But writing the point is okay. Half mark will be given. 2.5 marks, maybe 3 marks will be given. So you have to take 50% from the each category. That will be really helpful for you to ensure that every category you have passed the examination. Okay, now moving to the fourth one. So from here onwards I have given a lot of option. Okay, so fourth question. Suppose you are auditing EO, the list a few considerations relevant to 14K for EO. So 14K means 14,001. Okay. So for EO means what? EO means ethylene oxide. Okay, that is a dangerous chemical. So may cause cancer. So may damage fertilities or unborn child. So respiratories and protections and then protective. So clothing. So may be required. So in this area especially authorized person only. Okay, ethylene oxide. Generally EO will be generally asked. The organization shall establish environmental objectives that are relevant to functions and level, taking into account consideration organization's significant environmental aspects and associated compliance obligations, and considering its risk and opportunities. Is what all the things we have. Environmental objectives shall be consistent with the environmental policy, measurable, if practical, monitor, communicated and updated as appropriate. The organization shall maintain documented information on the environment of this line. You can write it each and everywhere. Generally organization only supposed to maintain those kind of things. As we have separate buddies available for all already passed 14,001 or maybe having internal auditor also, so they will be responsible for this. Or shall maintain, shall maintain, it's supposed to be maintained, it must be maintained. Okay, shall, may, can. So these are all the words will change the entire scenario. So please make sure that shall not is not will. Okay, shall maintain. ISO shall is the mandatory things as we supposed to understand. Okay, my dear friends, this question we can write like this also, like that directly we are targeting. So what I told you that you have to be very precise, capturing the mindset of your trainer who is offering you the examination, also the question answers also. So environmental aspects and impacts, class number 6.1.2, aspect identification, what are all the things especially for this ethylene oxide emission, contaminated water and then energy consumption. Impact assessment, toxicity to worker, and then contributions to ground level ozone formation. Then next one is legal compliances. We have so many kind of things is available. If you are writing these kind of things, EPA, what is meant by Environmental Protection Agency, then NESHAP is nothing but National Emission Standards for Hazardous Air Pollutants. So and then next one is OSHA, then PEL, permissible exposures limit 1 ppm TWP. that is a time weighted average. Then OC means occupational safety and health administration. Reach EPR, what is EPR? Stands extended producer responsibility. EU regulations is on the REACH. Generally what it talks about: registration, evaluation, authorization, and then register restrictions of chemicals. So this also we can write. Okay, my dear friends. Another one is operational controls. What we have, class number 8.1, you can write the same. Here is engineering control, administrative control. That is also more than enough. If it is asked in the 5-mark question, you need not to elaborate all those kind of things. For example, what happened now, one auditor, one trainer will ask a simple question in the 2-mark. Same auditor will demand the same in the 5-mark question and asking more details. So that is unpredictable. Okay, so that's why I have given you, so what I have written posted in the first one, since it was a very 4 marks 5 marks only. So then you can write it out if it is asked for the 10 marks or 15 marks. So you can write it here. Emergency preparedness, class number 8.2, EO specific scenarios. So what are the things? Leak, fire, drills. Waste management is EO residues. Stakeholders communications is 1.4. So these are all the important. See, we have mentioned each and everywhere class numbers. So 1.1, 1.4, 8.1.2, 9.1.3. These are all very very attractive to the trainer, because you understood the 14K very very nice. So you are targeting each and everywhere class number, and then you are targeting all those kind of things. It will be really helpful for the trainer to make sure that your paper, your questions answer will give you full mark at all. So community corners, and then monitoring, and then measurements, so EO emission testing, and then worker exposure, waste management, EO residues management, and everything. Finally, auditors checklist for EO processes, class number 6.1.2. Okay, so EO listed as a significant aspect, so with the documented controls. So 8.1, 9.1.2, 8.2. So these are all the things as we can write here. So simply you can figure out this also. For example, 4-mark question they ask, 5-mark question they ask, in the sense you can write only the topics title, then you can write this one also, because moreover you are writing the class number and then what is the description will make auditors, your trainer will be more precise enough to understand, oh, this question very nice, you have answered very nice question, and then you have given you a lot of very examples and super things and all. So they will offer you. Here also extra we have like waste management 8.1, stakeholder communications as management review 9.3. So audit trials, for example, if you don't know, you can write it for EO facilities, document review, EO risk assessment, permits, emission reports, site inspection, interviews, and then we can write it. Common NCs for EO. So what will be the things like we have? So major NC is no evidence of EO emission monitoring for Q3 2024. Like we have to mention like this, my dear friends, class number 9.1.1. So and then here is like a minor NC is EO spill kit expired, that is class number 8.2. That we can also in a minor NC. That is example tip is for 10-mark question mark answers, link EO risk to 2 plus ISO classes plus propose corrective action also. Most of the area people don't answer corrective action. So here corrective action is also will be given 2 marks extra, because you know the scenario, you know what is to be done, you have identified that objective evidence, you know the class also, but you don't know what is to be done further. Corrective action also we have to write it out, then 2 marks will be given. So I have already told you, like many videos are available, top 20 MNCs how to write it, that I have also given. So corrective action is also given. Okay, so auditor checklist, again we have seen it, because here for identifying this, what is the checklist supposed to be there. Okay, my dear friends, moving to the next 5th question. Describe the difference between environmental condition and then environmental aspect. These questions generally they will ask to make you confuse. Environmental condition, environmental aspects is with the example. So simply, for example, 2 marks we can write it here. Environmental condition, state or characteristics of the environment as determined so at a certain point in time. So example, air quality, water quality, land use. Environmental aspects, so elements of an organization activities or products and services that interacts or can interact with the environment. So discharging of wastewater to drain hazardous smoke from vehicles. Okay, now definition, how we can write it. Here is, that is also we can write it, because we don't get this kind of space and everything. So because it is all prescribed small areas only we have, so we can write it with the available space and everything. So point number here is definition, control, 14 key classes, and then example. Organization activity impacting environment, example emission. So state current state of the environment, example polluted river, something like that. Control is direct controllable waste management, it is indirectly affected climate change is something like that, condition. Condition is like how it is reacting, aspects, what are all the aspects as we have. So class number 6.1.2 aspect identification. So 4.1 is the context of the organization, no context of the organization. Okay, example aspect is diesel exhaust, so from company trucks, that is aspects we have. Condition is local air level, will get damaged, leak levels is also available. So here why the difference matters, link ISO 14001. Aspect is managed via EMS control, example reducing emissions. Condition is help prioritize risk, example strike stricter losses due to the poor air quality. Example tip is always link aspects to impact, example diesel exhaust aspects worsen so air quality conditions. Okay, definition 2 mark. For example, same question they ask in 2 marks. Aspect is organization activity impacting environment, example chemical spill condition. Control 2 marks. If they ask 10 marks in the sense, you have to split up division of everything. Control, what is the ISO 14000 link 2 marks, aspect condition, example aspect condition. Class 2 marks is aspects are managed to prevent worsen condition, ensuring compliance and then sustainability. So like that you can write the examination. So pro tips for full marks, use ISO 14 classes, cite 6.1.2 aspects, 4.1 condition. My dear friends, please remember this one, because everywhere you can write this one, you can get surely 2 marks. Give industry specific example, EO for healthcare, CO2 for manufacturing. So impact chain. So generally what happen, you can write the things like aspects we have, impact is also there, then what is the condition. Example waste dumping, soil contamination and the loss of biodiversity. Common pitfalls to avoid is like missing terms. Don't say air quality is an aspect, it's a condition caused by the emissions. Use active voice. The factory was waste water discharge aspect, that is degrades river quality condition. Condition is damaging, where it damaged, that is a condition. So what is going to happen is the aspect generally. So exam hack, generally memorize one example pair. You have to make sure that this is you are writing each and everywhere. So diesel exhaust is a smog, and apply it to any question at all. Okay my dear friends, now moving to the next one. Describe EO, ethylene oxide describe. They will generally ask for the EO, what is to be done for this EO. So objective set by organization consistent with its environment policy. If it is 2 marks, okay, just I have written it like this, but first you have to understand definition. Ethylene oxide, a colorless flammable gas used in sterilization of medical device, manufacturing of chemicals, as example antifreeze, plastics, example highly toxic, carcinogenic and then explosive. So key environmental and then safety risk. Emission, EO releases harm air quality, EPA, and then regulated. EPA regulated means that is Prevention Act. Okay, so agency is doing this. So waste and then spill, fires, so what will happen. ISO 14001 relevance. Generally it talks about aspects, EO, emission, waste energy uses, control, operational energy preparation and then complaints. What is the examples of for audits. NC means no records of EO emission monitoring, class number 9.1.1. Observation, EO storage lacks explosion proof lighting is class number 8.1. Okay, now 7th question is list few consideration while writing the scope of EMS. What is the scope generally? IMS 14001 class reference is class number 4.3, requires the scope to be documented, maintained and then available. So this is the thing we have to remember, class number 4.3, 4.3, 4.3. Okay, so generally scope of EMS, that is a general question, every time they will ask. This is a repeated questions. Enhancement of environmental performance, fulfillment of compliance organization, achievement of environmental objectives. So also you have to memorize organizational boundaries, what we have. Clearly define the physical location, departments and then activities covered by the EMS. Example, manufacturing plant in XYZ including warehousing, so but excluding corporate offices. Okay, product service boundaries. So specify which product services or process are included. Example, EMS covers as EO sterilization services but not medical device assembly. Legal regulatory context is aligned with the compliance obligations, and then example EPA permits for EO emission. So scope is also there. Then exclusion and then justification. What is that? We have to understand. Alignment with business goal, that is a very important thing. EMS generally talks about environmental management system as a whole company. Okay, ensure scope supports strategic objectives. Example, sustainability targets and everything. Example, like we can say here is scope focuses on reducing EO emission by 20% by 2025. So we can see, because a lot of emission CO2 cafe, a lot of regulations also there, we have to write it down. Then trainer will think about it. You have a lot of knowledge because you are fully extracting all those information from the industry, as well as 14001 where you really work with all your collaborative buddies. Stakeholder expectation, address concerns, then examples also available. Documentation reference. Okay, link to the supporting documents. As example, aspect register, risk register, legal complaint list. So many kind of things as we have. Please link to this supporting documents. It will be really helpful for you. Now moving to the next one. Difference between stage 1 audit and then stage 2 audit. See, generally, my dear friends, this one will ask, even stage 3 also they will ask you. Stage 1 is adequacy audit. Stage 2 is complaints audit. Audit the effective implementation. Okay. In that way also we can answer this question. Comparison table, generally what happen, focus, do you have an EMS documentation? That is a stage 1 audit. Stage 2 is the EMS working? That is implementation. Stage 2. Stage 2 is next level of doing the corrective tests and then seeing that the things are happening proper way. Stage 1 is, yes, the things are there, so we have to check whether it is available or not as a documented things or something like that. Key check is policy, legal register, risk assessment, so many kind of things. Here the key check is operational control, complaints, audits and everything. Non-conformity is major NC stop progressions to stage 2 because NC should not be there. Here major NC block certification also, stage 2 audit. So stage 2, it is a final one because you are doing lot of things, you are following everything. No NC is supposed to be there. MNC we cannot avoid, my dear friends. MNC is always there because see, we cannot make sure that 100% everything is happening, but MNC is always there. Then OFI is also there. Opportunity for improvement, that is also available. So please make sure that NC not supposed to be in stage 2. Okay, major NC block, it will block certification. They don't receive. Major NC will withdraw the certificate. Duration, we can do that 1 to 2 days. Here is 2 to 5 days we can do that, varies by organization size. Location, on-site, remote also we can do. Always on-site, it is good because we have to capture. Only when it is corona time that people started doing this kind of stage 2 audit and then capturing all those kind of things as outcome. Readiness for stage 2 certification decisions and everything. We can have this information also. Stage 1, please understand, my dear friend, you can learn many things as here is stage 1 audit, documentation review and then readiness assessment. Purpose is determined if the organization is ready so for the full certification audit. So verify that the EMS documentation meet ISO 14000 requirements. Key focus area, documentation check. Here is the environmental policy, risk and opportunities, legal register, objectives, targets and programs. Partial implementation check also we can have it. Major NCs, critical gaps that could block stage 2. Okay, please understand this one also. Scope confirmation. So duration, how long will it take generally, then what is the outcome, proceed to stage 2 and then delay stage 2. So stage 2 audit, certification audit. Stage 1 is documentation review, readiness audit. Stage 2 is certification audit, full compliance check. They will ensure that is it really meeting the standards or not. Stage 1 is it is really meeting the documents or not. Documents, everything is perfect, but what is the implementation purpose? Confirm the EMS is fully implemented and effective. Ensure compliance with the ISO and then all those kind of fixes here. Key focus area is operational effectiveness or procedures. Example, waste proposals, spills responses being followed. So is there evidences of a continual improvement? Employee awareness and then competence. Interview with the staff to check understandings of EMS rules, training records, review and everything. Objective evidence review is monitoring data, energy consumption, waste logs, internal audit and then management reviews record. Non-conformity, we can say major NC, minor NC. Major NC certification denied until it is fixed. Yes, they will withdraw also most of the times. Major NC will not be taken into the consideration because they will offer you certificate and everything. But the thing is that even basic is also missing in the sense. Surely they will hold it, this certification, you cannot able to move further. So we, unless otherwise if you are providing the perfect improvements, they will never provide you the certification. Minor NC, yes, corrective action required, but certification still possible. Yes, yes. Duration, it's 2 to 5 days. What I said, like always on site. Certification granted, conditional approach, and then denied is also very nice. These two area we can write it, my dear friends. Stage 1 audit and then stage 2 audit. Based on the question, 2 marks, 4 marks, 5 marks, 10 marks, 15 marks, we can write whatever example. Now we are moving to the next question is explain competence. Journalist 1.2 talks about so apply ability to apply knowledge and the skill to achieve intended results. Okay, that is only not enough. So when it is asked in the 2 marks, competence refer to the ability of the personnel to perform tasks related to the environmental management system EMS effectively based on education, training, skill, and then experience. Why competence matter in ISO 14001? Environmental policy, significant environmental aspect, EMS responsibility, emergency preparedness. So what are the things we supposed to do that? Now, when it talks about 7.2, especially for this 14K competence, identify competence needs. If you can also write like this in examination. Determine what knowledge, skill employee need for their EMS related task. Example, factory worker handling hazardous waste. So must know safety protocols and everything. Ensure competence, provide training, mentoring, or hiring qualified personnel. As example, training forklift drivers to prevent fuel spill. Evaluate effectiveness, assess if training worked. Because effectiveness assessment is somewhere it is missing because everybody is giving training but it is not being evaluated first of all. So example, Python cake test, quizzes, audit, observation, performance, so many kind of things. Keep records. Generally, we don't have records in the sense no one will believe you. Okay, document training, certificate, competency assessment, and then job qualification. Now, additionally, examples of competence in EMS. Generally, what a top management, what is the role they're supposed to acquire, required competence, understanding legal complaints, and then EMS objectives. If in case of in regulation, whether it is matching or not, that the management supposed to know that what is the compliance. Management staff handling equipment to minimize energy waste. So waste handlers. So segregating recyclables, hazardous materials. So internal auditor conducting EMS audits per ISO 14,000. Now competence versus awareness. What is the difference between these kind of things? Please understand, my dear friend, most of the time they will confuse you. They will make you like 7.2 we can say awareness, so competence versus awareness. Knowing the EMS exists 7.3. So 7.2, 7.3 they will confuse you. So awareness is knowing the EMS exists, yes, class number 7.3. But competence is having the skill to execute the EMS task properly. Okay, that is a 7.2 we can say here is how to demonstrate competence for audit. So training records, attendance, receipts, certificates and everything. Job description, yes, we have a lot of things as well. Performance review showing competence, interview employees during audit to test knowledge. Non-conformity alert, if an auditor finds untrained staffs handling critical EMS task, it is major NC. Please ensure that during audit time at least, my dear friends. Okay, anyhow, the thing is that you can write these kind of questions. Now moving forward to the 10th question is difference between. Yes, of course, we have a latest thing 14,001 and 14,004. Here is what is the difference between 14,001 and 14,000. See, here I have given some provides 14,004, first of all, 2016. Organization on establishment, implementation, maintained, and then improvement on a robust, then credible, and then reliable environmental management systems is where ISO 14001 is a set of standards as put forward. So by the organizational, international organization for standardization, ISO. Its purpose is to clarify the best practices for organizations that wish to reduce their environmental footprint by adopting an effective environmental management system. That is the EMS policy generally we have. Okay, now we will see that as a comparative manner. 14,001, 14,004. What it generally talks about. Purpose. Certification standard. So requirement for the EMS. Generally they will give certification 14,001. That is a guidance document. Best practice for implementing and improving an EMS. Auditability is used so for third party certification audit. So here is not certificate, provides advice, not requirement. Okay, here structured is follow annexer SL in the sense like level structures also for compatibility with the other ISO standard. Example 9001, 14K, 45K, 50K energy management system. So many kind of things as we have. Here more flexible with explanatory notes and examples. Here the main content is mandatory classes Example, leadership, planning, performances, and evaluation. Here is voluntary guidances on how to interpret the and apply ISO 14001. So target user is organization seeking certification. So here is organization looking to improve or expand their EMS. So focuses what must done to comply. Here is how to implement and enhance an EMS. I hope you understand now what is mean by 14K, 14,004K. Okay, now moving forward, mainly key difference. For example, 2 marks they ask, 14.1 and then 14.4. Both the standards are related to the environment management system, but they serve different purpose. 14K 2015. So what is that? What it is? The certifiable standards, outlying minimum requirements of an EMS. Key feature: PDCA cycle, legal complaints, and then exactly must be followed for the certification. Who use it? Generally companies needing official certification, example tenders, regulation, or that we can do that. So here 2016, what it talks about as far as 14,004 is concerned, it is a supportive guidelines to help organization implement ISO 14001 effectively, because some areas they keep consultancy, some areas they keep lot of digitalized softwares which will control the entire factory. As far as the 14K 14,001 2015, they have lot of implication in this. Put a beautiful front dashboard and everything to catch up all those kind of information. Also key feature is explain best practices beyond basic complaints, provide example tools and methodologies, encourages performances, and so on. So who use it? Companies as new to EMS seeking deeper understandings and certified organizations as wanting to enhance their EMS. If the company is more stringent about taking care, gas and oil companies and then other potential uncertainty is going to happen. The expert in the sense they will catch up all those here. So practical example 14,001 says you must identify environmental aspect and impact. That is a very, very important thing. 14,004 I explained here is how to prioritize them using the risk matrix, and then here are industry examples like that we can able to say that. Now point number 11th question is explain diplomatic, give examples of audit situation, how you need to be diplomatic. See, tactful in dealing with individual. So while informing the NC to audit, you need to be very, very tactful. Auditor shall use sentence like process not effective in spite using process problem. So many kind of things as we have. See, let's see that how to answer. Definition is diplomacy in auditing refers to the tactful, respectful, and professionalism. This is the word what is the highlighted word supposed to be there in your examination? Unless otherwise they never offer you the mark, my dear friends. Used by auditor to gather information, so address non-conformities and maintain positive relationship with the auditee. So while ensuring objectives and then unbiased evaluation. So examples of diplomatic approaches in an audit situation. Scenarios during an ISO 14001 EMS audit, the auditor find that the factory workers is not following the correct chemicals waste disposal procedure, risking environmental contamination. Okay, undiplomatic approach is poor practice. You are violating the procedure. Okay, this is the major non-conformity. Your team is careless. Result is defensiveness, resistance, and then poor cooperation. Diplomatic approach, what is supposed to be the effective practice? I noticed the chemical waste was stored in unlabeled container. Okay, could you walk me through your usual disposal process? So there might be a gap in training we can address together. Result encourages open discussion, identify root cause, example lack of training, unclear instruction, maintain. So not to be rude enough to talk all those kind of things. So you have to be polite, make sure that diplomatically you are approaching all the scenarios and everything. Key diplomatic techniques in audit. So use open-ended question. You ask the question, how do you ensure compliance with this procedure and everything? So focus on facts, not blame. So these are all the main things we can write it here. Use open and question, focus on facts and not blame, and then knowledge efforts, and then suggest improvement collaboratively. So these are all the things as we can write for the diplomatic. Even we can have, for example, 5-mark question, you can write these 5 words: build trust, encourages honesty from auditees, reduce resistance, so prevents, and then everything. Here is improve accuracy, ensure compliance, maintain professionalism. Example, in an EMS audit, diplomacy helps uncover whether a non-conformity stems from lack of training, system failure, or negligent individual. So final tip is diplomatic auditor balances firmness on standards with empathy so for the people. Now, moving to the 12th question, effect that not being diplomatic will have on audit. Yes, of course, conflict between auditor and audit. Generally, this will happen. The fight is always there. No proper support for continuing the audit. They don't support you at all. Stakeholders will never support you. They don't collaborate you because you are very rude to handle all those kind of things. Okay, efforts on not being diplomatic during an audit. Failing to use diplomacy during an audit can lead to the serious negative consequences impacting both the audit processes and the organization. So below are the key effects explained in the 5-mark answer format. So here we can say that defensive or hostile, okay, Zale reactions from auditees. Example, if the auditor bluntly says and your team failed to follow the procedure, this is unacceptable, and then the auditee may become argumentative or uncooperative. So result is auditees may hide information or provide incomplete responses, leading to inaccurate finding. Yes, you don't get evidence, you don't get any document to prove that you have observed that MCMS. They don't provide you anything. They don't avoid, they don't make you to enter into their premises. First of all, this will happen. So always be polite, honest, and then make sure that your points are writing very clearly. Reduced willingness to share information. This is going to happen generally. Poor working relationship, and then loss of trust is also happening. So we have example results also available. So these are all the things we can write it during examination also. Ineffective and then corrective actions. See, auditor generally what happen, quick fixes instead of sustainable solution. They will simply give normal awareness given to the people, training given to the people. These are all the things as they will give you just to fix it now. They don't think about long term because you already frustrated them, so they don't respect you. First of all, negative perceptions of the audit processes. Example, auditors act like police rather than advisors, so making the process feel punishable. Result, the employee makes us and resist is threatening rather than helping. See, simply how we can write it: defensive auditees, okay, withheld informations, damaged trust, so superficial fixes, negative audit culture. Conclusion is a non-diplomatic auditor risk compromising audit integrity, employee morale, and then long-term compliances. Diplomacy ensure better communication, accurate findings, and then effective improvement. So this is how we can write it. Okay, now moving to the 13th question. Okay, 5 marks generally they will ask you. If you find fully electronic systems, okay, fully electronic system, describe what issue will you consider to assess 7.5.2, 7.5.3 effectively implemented. 7.5.2 creating and updating. C is ensuring review and then approval for suitability and then adequacy. Okay, 7.5.3 control of documented information. B is document adequacy, protected and then distribution across assesses retrieval and then uses. So storage and then preservation, storage and then preservation, including preservations of legibility, so control of changes, so retention and then disposition. So assessment of class number 7.5.2 documented information, 7.5.3 control of documented information, 7.5.2, 7.5 is more than enough, but 2 when it comes specific to the area. Okay, fully electronics means, see, when auditing an organization with the fully electronic environmental management, you must verify the digital documentation meets the ISO 14K requirements. As below are key issues as to assess. So here is, we can say, compliance with ISO 14001 requirements is 7.5.2 documented information existing of the requirement required documents. Does the systems include mandatory documents? So what are the documents we have? Electronic format accessibility. So are documents reachable, readable, and then retrievable? Yes, data retrieval supposed to be there to capture all those information on time. So is there a logical folder structure? So police policies as procedure records. And once you put the click mark, suddenly it will appear. It will give you very clear about what you are talking about. So 1.5.3 like control of how you are controlling the documented information, which version control and then approval. So 1.5.2, 1.5.3 is entirely different. This is documented information. This is controlling methods of how the document is supposed to be. Are document version controlled? Whether 1.0, 2.0, what is the difference? Is there electronic approval workflow? Example, reviewed by who? Who is going to review? HSE, manager before release. Access and security are permissions to the prevent, to prevent unauthorized edits. Is there an audit trail trailing supposed to be there showing who modified a documented and when? So backup recovery or documents is automatically backed up. So cloud or maybe local server. Is there a disaster recovery plan available in case of system failure? Now, next one is potential issues as to investigate. This is a risk of non-compliance 1.5.2, so 1.5.3. So, missing mandatory documents. What are the documents going to miss? No version control. Generally, they do not have it. First of all, unauthorized access. Yes, it is open. It is always open. Then people can able to go and then authorize. Then lack of backup. We have the no audit trials also there. So then evidence to collect during audit. What are the things we can? So capture, we can screenshot electronically. It is possible. SharePoint, Google Drive, specialized EMS software. Access logs also possible. Backup test records, employee interviews also possible. What is the fourth one? Best practice for fully electronic EMS compliance. Use ISO 14001 compliant software. Bland and then Intellex. So that is also is okay. We can use it. Automate version control and then approval overflows also. Conduct periodic IT security audits to prevent data losses. Train employees. In conclusion, yes, we can take it up 7.5.2. All required document exists, document control perfectly. Non-compliant example where they will take it as an employee finds an outdated policy because versioning was not enforced, in the sense the system crashes, and then we can say system crashes causes loss of compliance records and everything. That also we can take it as concerns. Now 14th one, you are the audit team leader. So of the team, that includes two other auditors. You are conducting an ISO 14000K certification audit. It is multi-site audit and you have each performed. Okay, so you are allocated auditing at different sites. The auditors from the other two sites will arrive soon to join. So when you conduct the closing meeting, okay, at least five items as you would cover in the team meeting prior to the closing meeting in order to prepare this. So this is the questions was asked. So what is that we supposed to do that? Okay, so initially you have to start preparing the closing meeting. That it talks about 6.4.9.1. So review the audit findings and then any other appropriate information collected during the audit. Agree the audit consultation conclusion. So prepare recommendation and then discuss audit follow-up as applicable. 6.4.9.2 is content of audit conclusion. The extent of conformity is with the audit criteria, and then robustness of the management systems. That also we can make it that effectiveness management. So there are things we can write it up. The effective implementation, maintenance, and then improvement of the management system. Achievement of audit objectives, coverage of audit scope, fulfillment. Similar findings is made in different areas as that were audited. So pre-closing meeting agenda, ISO 14001 multi-site audit team. So as the audit team leader, you must align your team before the final closing meeting. Generally this will happen. All auditor, once the audit is completed, so they will say that what are all the things they observed, and then what is possible, like these are all the things can omit. Other area also we can able to take it up. Some areas they will convince us with the relevant documentation records and everything. Some areas it is not at all possible at all. Now moving to the next area of here, the 5 critical items as to cover in your internal team briefing. What is to be done for this example? Okay, so how we can write this question? Okay, with beautifully summary of the findings also from each side. Each auditor presents major non-conformities, NC, minor NC observation, positive practices and then observed. Ensure consistency in grading finding. Example, avoid conflicting severity ratings. Agreement on final audit conclusions. Consolidate evidences to support findings. Resolve disagreements. Confirm classification. Point number 3, preparation for the closing meeting. Assign speaking roles Then anticipate auditing questions as plan diplomatic phrasing. So review of complaints and certification recommendation. Does the organization meet ISO 14K? Any show stoppers available? Draft recommendation, logistics, and then next steps also available. Why this matter? A well coordinated team meeting ensure consistency in audit conclusion, professionalism during the closing meeting, credibility on the certification process. Generally what it happens, if you are the auditor, you are going to the auditee premises, you have to close the meeting, you have to define that what is that you have observed, what is the objective evidence you have noticed, and then what is that MNC you are going to proceed further. You have to inform in front of the top management. That will be the real best practices what you're doing. Also separately the meeting will happen among the auditors. So they will discuss about like what is the best we can do, what is we can avoid, what is we can hide, what we can take it into the opportunity for consideration, what we can exactly we can fix it as a MNC, like that. So bonus checklist. So for the team meeting, have all sites been covered, or findings supported by the objective evidence? So is the language in finding clear and professionalism? Are we aligned on the certificate decision? So and then who will lead the closing meeting discussion? So these are all the things as we can take it up. Now 15th question. So during an on-site ISO 14001 certification audit, so UST established that the organization has implemented an effective environmental as per the evaluation consideration and life cycle perspective related to the scope of their EMS. So within the context of the activities, products and services that the organization it can control and those it can influence, list at least 5 consideration you would expect to be included in the approach that had been taken. So what is the 5 consideration? So typical stages of the product or services life cycle include raw material acquisition, design, protection, transportation, delivery, use, then end of life treatments and final disposal. Establish control as appropriate to ensure in environmental, so many kind of things as determine its environmental requirements as for the procurement, communicate its relevant environmental, consider the need to provide information about the potential things as the organization shall maintain documented information as to the necessary to the extent necessary so to have the confidence. So here also we can write here is key consideration for evaluating environmental aspects with the life cycle perspective to ensure organization has effectively assessed environmental aspects including those it controls and influences. The following 5 considerations should be included in their approach. What are all that? First of all, see, identification of life cycle stages. Expected. What is expected? Here the organization should evaluate environmental aspects, impacts across relevant life cycle as stages. Example, raw material extraction, and then production, transportation, use, disposal, and then here is recycling also. So these are all the areas as like we can make sure that you are attracting the trainer to make sure that you are getting beautiful marks, extra marks. Here is now audit checks, or aspects, considered beyond just on-site operations. As example, supplier impacts, product end of life. Examples also available here. Influence versus control differentiation. Expected clear criteria defining so which aspects the organization directly controls. Examples, emission from its facilities. Examples of influences, so we can write it here. Audit checks is also available. Significance criteria applied consistently means expected. What is that? Expected document criteria. Audit checks also we have to write it out. Engagement with the external stakeholders. So what is expected? Evidence of effects and to influence or something like that. Audit checks also we can have. Monitoring and then review mechanism. Finally, expected and then audit checks also we have to write it. Management review. So kind of finally, audit evidence to verify. So records of life cycle. What is that? Stakeholder communication, significance evaluation matrix, management review minutes. So and the non-conformity risk, generally what will happen? No life cycle perspective. Example, only on-site waste considered. No clear influence or control boundaries. Example, ignoring supply chain impact. So these are all the areas we can directly take it up. 16th question. What is the 16th question? A company uses large quantities of plastic granulates and powders and stores these with their cardboard packaging in warehouse. They have an external storage tank for storing plastic granulates which is filled twice per week so by the road tanker, so that comes on the site. They also use diesel for their forklift trucks and have an external bulk storage tanks that is also filled by the road tanker, which visit the site once per month. So they use the variety of chemicals, paint and solvents in the variety of the types and size of the container. In your own words, briefly describe both prevention of pollution and then emergency preparedness in respect to above situations. In respect to the give three examples of the prevention of pollution process or emergency. How we can write this examination? Two areas is we need to address, my dear friends: prevention of pollution and then emergency preparedness. So prevention of pollution can include resource source reduction or elimination, process, product, service. Example: changes, efficient uses of material storages, condition, reuses, recovery, recycling. So this can even converting the diesel forklift to battery forklift to prevent the pollution process. So no need for external storage for tank diesel, and then prepare to respond by planning actions to prevent or mitigate adverse environmental aspects impacts as frame emergency situations as fire, so due to fuel usage, like that we can. But here also we can write it. So it's very, very simple, very precise. So like that we can cover. Prevention of pollution refers to the proactive measures taken by an organization to eliminate or minimize what are all things that we can write it. So reducing waste generation, substituting hazardous material, implementing process control. Examples as for this company: so using spill proof container, so and then regular monitoring of these kind of things. And now preparedness, emergency preparedness involve planning and then training response effectively to accident, spill, leaks and other areas. And what are the things as identifying potential emergencies and then preparing a response procedure, training staffs. As examples as for the companies also available. Key difference: mainly prevention is stopping pollutions before it happens. Emergency preparedness is reacting safety if pollution occurs. So the difference between, you have to write it very clearly. Now 17th question: list 5 environmental aspects that you may need to consider when conducting an ISO 14001 certification audit. So at a manufacturing organization: raw material, electricity and then utility cost, packaging and then that. So they ask us to write it down, may consider when conducting ISO certification on manufacturing organization. So here are the 5 key things as like what is to be done. Okay, evaluating examination organization system. Energy consumption impact, that is the greenhouse gases emission we have. Audit checks, what are the things we can write it. Energy efficient measure, renewable energy, monitoring records. 2 is waste generation. Impact is landfill consider contributions. Audit check is waste segregation, waste reduction targets, complaints with the waste disposal also. Third one, emissions to air, impact air pollution. What are the air checks we have? Air quality monitoring, use of a filter and then permits. Water usage and then effluent impact, and then what is the audit checks we have? The raw material consumption impact, what is the audit checks we have? Finally, bonus checkpoint, if we can say that high risk aspects for this scenario, what are all that? Chemical spill, plastic granule storage, diesel forklift and everything. Because the previous question was asked granules. So compilation of all those things will make you more capturing of the scenarios entirely for the question and answer. For example, the 22 questions they asked means the question may be from the chemical industry. So all questions is related to the chemical. If it is medical industry, all questions related to the medical. So you can write it out. So then diesel forklift. Avoid evidence to request. Audit evidence to request is environmental aspects register, monitoring idea and then incident records also. So this is how we can write it out. Now moving to the 18th question. List 5 typical activities is to be considered while planning ISO 14K certification audit of an electronic product organization. My dear friends, please understand. Electronic product audit is entirely different. Okay. So from the life cycle perspective of environmental impacts is within the activities as product service. So what are that? Right sites purchase. Then when considering cloud service, and then aggressively manage device in use. Example, energy consumption. Focus on extending the product life cycle through upgrades and then refurbishment, something like that. And the deliver assets, your organization can no longer use the responsible resale and then innovation and then recycling also. So this also we can write it here when planning. And please understand, my dear friends, ISO 14001 certification audits as an electronic product organization, a life cycle perspective ensure all environmental aspects and everything. 5 key activities. What is that? Raw material sourcing and then supply evaluation. Focus, what is the focus? Audit checks, what we have. So already we put this, gas, ESG is also there, environmental social governance policy. So use the reason, then ROHS, restriction of hazardous substance. rows, and then reach regulations also available. Manufacturing and energy uses, what is the focus, audit checkpoints, energy intensive processes, and then what is the product use phase, energy efficiency and then toxicity. What is the focus, and then audit check, energy star, and then e pets also there. Packaging and transportation focus, audit check, sustainable, and then w triple e, so waste, electrical and electronic equipment. So labeling is also there. Then fifth one is the end of life management, e-waste and then recycling. So what is that? So final one is why this matter. Before we have to go for this audited checklist for life cycle complaints: document review, site inspection, interviews, regular checks. So confirm complaints with the ISO 14001, ROHS, and then WEEE. Why this matter? Electronics manufacturing has high environmental risk. Why? Toxic e-waste. The life cycle audit ensure the organization. So minimize upstream supply chain and downstream. Avoid green, washing, and then by verifying the real sustainability, that is sustainability efforts. So this one is very nice, like very simple. During an ISO 14K certification audit, evaluating the effectiveness of emergency preparedness and response. So list 5 planning topics, not emergency situation, that the organization may be expected to have considered. Here 5, identification of potential environmental aspect, roles and responsibility, communication plan, training, awareness, and then testing and drill. So here emergency situation, respond to the actual emergency situation, take actions to prevent. Here that is also we can write it here. So if they ask 5, you can write at least 6 or 7. Okay, my dear friends, periodically test the planned response auditors, periodically review and revise the processes, provide relevant information, and then training. So this also we can write it here. So for this question especially we can write this one. Question number 20. Explain complaints obligations and examples of complaints organization, classes of relations to the 14001. So what all that? Complaint obligation is the legal requirement that an organization has to comply with, and other requirements is that an organization has to or chooses to compliance with the examples. So such as applicable laws, regulation, voluntary commitments. So definition, what we can edit here: complaints, regulations, obligations are the legal and other requirements that an organization must adhere to under this EMS. So what are that? Law and regulation, permits and license, industry standards, corporate and then voluntary commitment. So these are all the areas as we can write it to make sure that compliance obligation. So here also we can say class number 6.1.3 complaints obligation. So required organization to identify, document and update legal register. Example 9.1.2 evaluation of complaints, 5.2 environmental policy, 9.3 management review. This question answer is also really helpful. Make sure that you are getting lot of points, lot of scores also. In a very short form and the nutshell for this complaints obligations, here is manufacturing EPA air emission test 6.3, 9.1.2. We can locate these kind of areas with this class number ISO. Healthcare, then construction, oil and gases. So generally 6.1.3 is available, 8.1, 8.1, 8.2 is also there. So that also you can fix it up next level. How to audit complaints obligation: check documentation, verify implementation, and then review non-conformity. This is the very simple area. Again 6.1.3, 9.2, 1.2, and then 10.2, and improvements and everything. Exam interview answer template 2 to 5 marks if they ask, in the sense like complaints subject obligations are the legal other requirements, class number 6.1.3, and organization must follow, such as EPA permits, OSHA limits. Example, the hospital using UO meter. Wherever they ask, you write the examination, where is the agency level we have, so that we can able to put it up. So link example to the specific classes for higher marks. Now moving to the 21st question. Explain evaluation of complaints. How do you evaluate? But please understand, evaluation of complaints 14K is 9.1.2 critical for EMS audit examination. Okay, the organization shall establish, implement, and then maintain processes needed to evaluate fulfillment of its complaints and obligations. The organization shall determine the frequencies of that complaints and everything. Here also we can read it out. Definition: evaluation of complaints is a systematic process to verify if an organization meets its legal and other requirements. As class number 6.1.3. Okay, legal conformity, adherence to the voluntary commitment. Point number 2, key steps in compliance evaluation. So what are the key steps we have? Identify requirements linked to 6.1.3. Maintain a legal register. So then 2 is monitor and then measure. 9.1 audit and inspect, document review, report and then act. Method of complaints evaluation, how do you evaluate this one? Inspection, testing, record review and then interview. You can ask so many kind of things here. So here is ISO 14001. So class linkage, how we need to link this one, class 6.1.3, 9.1.1, 9.2, 9.3. Fifth one is examples of non-compliance. Major NC, no records of EO emission tests. These are all the area why I am highlighting in the sense, if they ask in 15 mark questions, you can write all those kind of things. 10 mark question, you can minimize, you can only write down the titles, more than enough. Understanding or what is context is given as far as the question is concerned, then you can write it out. Sixth one is audit checklist. What are the checklists? Is the legal register updated or permits monitoring records where past violation resolved? So many kind of things. Exam interview 2 marks in the sense, question explain the evaluation of non-compliant. Templates is definition, you can write 2 marks. Steps marks, 3 marks, identify 6.1, 9.1, 9.2, like that even. Example, 2 marks, the hospital evaluates EO compliances via stake testers and then EPA testers also. Class links, 3 marks in the sense. Pro tips for 10 marks, add a case study example, manufacturing plant failing emission test. So that also right. So depends on the marks, you can write it up, my dear friends. Same question may they ask in 2 marks, same question they may ask in 15 marks also. You have to give very detailed explanation, that will be really helpful. See, last question 22. The company uses large quantities of plastic granulars and powders which they mix and blend to accommodate the wide range of colors and compositions as required for their extruded products. Many of these products are painted and are varnished as the final stages on the automated extrusion line using materials supplied in 1 gallon tins. The production machineries is operated 24-hour basis and uses large amount of electricity, gases for drying, ovens and water for cooling the finished products as it exists from the extruders. The factory uses gases for space heating. So there is a large fleet of company owned and operated heavy goods vehicles as used to deliver products to their customers. List 5 examples of an environmental objectives and associated targets that would be appropriate for an ISO 14K certified EMS. Only very simply you can say that recycling of plastic, renewable energy for electricity, rainwater storage, space heating through renewable energy and then hazardous chemical and then handling. List 5, 23rd question, last question is, list 5 details as that you could need to consider in order to confirm effective management of the discharged consent when auditing the organization. The organization shall determine what all the things we can remember, what needs to be monitored and measured, what methods and then monitoring, measurement, analysis, valid results. So the criteria against which the organizations will evaluate. So when the monitoring and then measurement shall be performed. So when monitoring the results and then performed. So these are all the things as we have, my dear friends. I hope you understand, like nearly we have spent a lot of time. The 23 questions have answered for you. So I have succeeded in this examination. Please make sure that you are writing the examination very holistically, very beautifully, very confidently. So you are writing the examination. All the best, my dear friends. Please make sure that all the friends you are writing the examination, getting the success, sharing to your friends, sharing these channels to all your friends as like for all appearing for the examination. Will make sure that all are passing and you are moving to the next level, promotions or maybe upgrading yourself, whatever it may be. So 14K will ensure that I have provided a lot of information. Please make sure that all videos you are covering for the beautiful examination writing. All the best, my dear friends, and then congratulations those who are already succeeded. You can give the feedback in your comment section also, so that all people will understand the same, and for me also it will be motivating for the next level of next 45K. We are planning to give this video and then will be implemented soon.
So finally, let's learn and level up ourselves, and let us help and support others. So without pain there is no gain. I hope you like this video. So please give your valuable comments so that I can also level up myself, and share to your beloved ones. So thank you very much and thanks for watching.